contradictory today, saying some things like this and some things like this, and it's all going to come back to a core of love, and you're going to like it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Earth and Star Spiritual Wellness Center. I'm Mary Colozzo. Nice to see you. Nice to be here, your friendly neighborhood preacher teacher. Today, I'm bringing in some concepts that we've already discussed in the past. We've discussed about the differences between religion and spirituality. We've discussed bringing them together. And today we're going to deepen that by showing the different types of people within spirituality. We're going to talk about the different kinds of people, those differences, and even a similarity between them before bringing everything back together and wrapping it up with the big bow. So when we're going to have this discussion about, we're going to have to backtrack just a little bit. The differences between religion and spirituality. As discussed, spirituality is your own personal pursuit of what you believe. This is every person's right to internally seek and understand the world outside of the physical. And this is completely different for everybody. No two people have exactly the same spiritual beliefs. This is your personal, authentic spirituality. This is what makes you unique. This is what makes you beautiful. This is what makes you you. Because while there may be commonalities across just about all spiritual paths, because there are consistent universal truths, everybody perceives it in a different way. And because everybody has a different mind, a different perception, a different way of viewing and feeling the world, everyone has different gifts and expresses through different clairs, your personal spirituality is unique to you. Religion, not organized religion, but religion is your action based on your spiritual beliefs. Your spirituality should lead to your religion, whatever that looks like. This may not be organized religion. This may not be a popular religion. This might be a religion that only you and you alone have, and you alone follow. But your religion is your behaviors and your actions based on the spiritual beliefs that you've built for yourself. With that in mind, there are what I've come to figure out, when we're navigating this holy path of trying to be good people and live our purpose and feel fulfilled, I've kind of narrowed it down to 3 types of people in the world. When we're looking purely from a spiritual path, I've narrowed it down to 3 people. There's the type of people who know what they believe and never change. There's the type of people who don't know what they believe at all. And then there's the type of people that know what they believe and they constantly evolve. Well, that's wishy-washy. Guess what? I said those in the exact order of evolution. You think to yourself, the people who know what they believe and never change, those are the ones, because those are the ones who teach, right? Those are the ones who have it all figured out. Girlfriend, those are the ones who are at the bottom rung of the spiritual evolution ladder. Because all beliefs can become limiting. All beliefs are meant to be outgrown. You don't believe the same way now that you did when you were 2 because you've matured, you've experienced, you've seen more of the world. You're supposed to change your perspective as you mature and grow. And the people who refuse to change their beliefs, even when given evidence of something different, whether it's a spiritual sign, whether it's something that they've experienced, something someone else is telling them that they experience, people who refuse to change their beliefs and refuse to evolve have limited themselves and therefore are on the first rung of the spiritual ladder. We're not judging. This is a judge-free zone, no judging, okay? Because we've all been there at some point or another. Some of us have left that station long ago. Some of us are not leaving the station ever. And I mean, if you're on this channel, you're probably leaving that station or thinking about leaving that station. Some people you know will never leave that station. And that's okay, because it's a judge-free zone. And I'm going to tell you the commonalities later. Right now, we're just looking at the differences, because you get to decide what kind of person you are. You get to decide what you do on your spiritual and religious journey. You get to decide what your holy path looks like. And I really like those words, the holy path. I like it. I like it a lot. I like to be holy, even though I'm a sinner and I sit in mosh pits and I scream and dance and stomp my feet. I'm kidding. I mean, I do that, but that doesn't make me a sinner. That's the part I'm kidding about. But it's the holy path because it's the pursuit of light. It's the pursuit of spirituality. It's the pursuit of knowledge and understanding and being and tapping into the God self within that makes it holy. The destruction of that, the blocking of that, the darkness that we create when we suppress that and reject our pursuits and our natural curiosities towards the spiritual realm, that is what I would consider unholy. I have a natural curiosity in the spiritual realm, and I talk to these things and I figure these things out. And some of them I like to sit and play with, and some of them I don't, and that's okay. It's different for everybody, and some of the spiritual things I play with, other people, heck no. To each their own, right? So the second path, the second types of people I have met are the people who don't know what they believe at all. And this is your middle of the way kind of people. That's the second rung on this ladder. There's nothing, I think these are the people who probably get judged the most, because how can you not know what you believe? How can you be agnostic? How can you not know what's out there? How can you not even try to know? But I love these kinds of people. I mean, they can really trigger you because they're going to challenge, they can challenge every belief that you have, but it's not because they're doing it from a defensive space because they have a better belief. It's because who the heck knows? I like this. These people are great. They're wonderful. Maybe they should rule the world. Who knows? But the great thing about a person who doesn't know what they believe is they can be open to anything. They can create any belief. When I do healing work and I talk about the quantum spaces, because my healing work is different from other healing work because I go down to those quantum spaces. The difference in that is when you go to a quantum space, that's the void space. That's the space where all things are created from. It's technically, if you want to use these words, the dark space, the death space. Nothing is there. But when you place coded messages and commands into that space, every single thing that's created from there on out is created with that code or that command or that beauty or that healing, that health, right? Whereas other healing targets something that's already existing, that's already ill, and just tries to change it. There's the difference. So when we're talking about that void space, these people to me are like that void space. Nothing exists, so anything can grow. I don't have to influence them. They don't have to try to influence me, but I know that they are at the utmost capacity. They are the most expansive in order to learn. They right there are the most fertile soil, right? So we love this. Some people can judge it, but we're a judge-free zone. We're not judging any of these three people. The third type of person is the people who know what they believe and constantly evolve. This is the topmost rung of the ladder. Because, and this is all guided work, not work that I believe, although I can believe it, but I might change my belief later, is because these are the people who have experienced something, so they understand to their knowledge up to that point how the world works, how spirituality works, how the things that they've experienced, the light, the dark, the angels, the demons, the healing, the illness, they understand it to their level of knowledge, to their level of experience, and they share that with others. They understand that within themselves. They allow it to be truth for them and possibly universally. And then when they're shown something different, something new, when they grow and mature and expand, then they take on new beliefs. I love this. Growth, expansion. This is beautiful. We want that growth and expansion. Now, the difference between rung number 3 up here and rung number 1 down here is not that this is a hierarchy of someone's better than someone else in their spiritual beliefs. The difference is that the one on the bottom is always going to be based on stability and security and foundation. People who know what they believe and grasp onto that and never change it, they do it because they need to feel safe. They need to feel like they have a stable foundation that's never going to move, that's never going to shift, and that is how they feel safe. And that is why there's so many spiritual arguments within organized religion. Because if you have a belief that doesn't match exactly to this person's belief, they're the bottom rung, right? They're the foundational safe piece. And so suddenly, they're not safe. If someone believes something different, it's, okay, there's an earthquake in my belief systems and I don't know what to do anymore. They have to be safe. The people who don't know what they believe, they're right in the middle. So whatever makes them feel strong and powerful at the moment, whatever makes them feel loving and kind at the moment, they'll probably go with. The other people who know what they believe and continue to constantly evolve, they're working from a space more towards ascension. So the people who are more like this, I guarantee that these are probably your light workers, your healers, the real light workers and healers, not people who simply call themselves light workers and healers and offer services. And I say that because sometimes there are people who are inherent, natural born light workers and healers who don't know it, or who are too afraid to do it and put themselves out there. But it doesn't mean that they're not doing the work with the universe just by living this path. And then there can be healers and light workers, people who have labeled themselves and created shops and services and put themselves out there, but they see the world in competition and they never change their beliefs, and that limits them in a completely different way. But the true natural born healers and light workers, I guarantee that they are the ones who are on this evolving rung, because they don't get the luxury of having safety and stability all the time. Their world is constantly changing and evolving, building up, tearing down, building up, tearing down. These are the people whose lives are a whirlwind of chaos and emotion, probably, because they don't get the luxury of the safety and security at the bottom. Spirit builds them up, builds them up, builds them up, and then goes, I'm blowing it up now. But look, here's something brand new in its place. So whichever person you might be out of these three, love it, enjoy it, find what you need to find out of it. Because while they might all be inherently different and have their own struggles, they should all be based under one truth. And that truth, that core, should be love. And remember here, guys, that a lot of us have religious wounds, which I have broken those down also, so that we know that it's really not about the beliefs necessarily themselves, but about the people who created those beliefs. So these aren't really religious wounds. These are more what I call people wounds, mommy, daddy wounds, preacher wounds, human wounds of how people have created beliefs and then acted on them onto other people. So, but because some of us here have religious wounds in that way, What we're talking about here isn't purely about religion. This is just about the core of what people believe. And we're all people. And we all believe something unless we believe that we don't know. And at the core of all of that, of humanity and humanity's beliefs about the metaphysical, that core is love. Because this is the chakra that opens us, that expands us, that connects us one to another, to nature, to the skies, to Mother Earth. That core is love, that agape love, that unconditional love, the love that just can be authentic and vulnerable, that kind of love. Not a sexual, romantic, attractive love, just the pure love and bliss that exists in this world as a human. That's what these are all based on. Because from this space of love and connection and expansion, I've had certain experiences, or based on this bliss and connection, I want to create a safe belief system for myself. Or because of the love, of the bliss of the human existence, I just know that I'm mind blown by everything that's here on earth, and I just know that I don't know anything. So love is at the core of all of these. And as we navigate different interpersonal relationships within spirituality and religion, maybe this will help you be able to sift through that a little bit better with individuals, because like I said, everyone's a little bit different, and we want to be able to love all people. That's the goal here. If we're ever going to have world peace, we have to be able to respect other people and their beliefs without saying, well, that's wrong, or that's limited, or that's not how I believe. We don't even have to say that. We can just not. We can just believe whatever we want to believe and act on our beliefs however we want to, understanding that someone's actions are based very deeply on their beliefs. Now, there are a few, what shall we say, traps of each of these particular personalities, these three people. Well, all three people are different, and all three people, their pursuit is based on the core of love. They all have different things that they have to deal with, that they have to watch out for in their lives, in their spiritual pursuits. So the number one kind of people on that safety rung, theirs is the thing that they have to really look out for is self-deception. This is the type of group that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, they tend to justify negative behavior, ignoring flaws, ignoring the call to growth. They tend to avoid reality, I'm gonna say, and pursue religious experiences. If you have a belief that someone has brought you evidence saying this belief isn't loving or kind, this belief hurts me, but you refuse to change it or adjust because it makes you feel safe while someone else does not, everyone's entitled to their own beliefs, so we're not going to judge you about it. And you need to watch out for self-deception. Spiritual self-deception, not just self-deception in general, we could go with that, but spiritual self-deception refers to the act of misleading yourself about your spiritual beliefs and practices and your progress, because we're holding on to false spiritual development. And that's what causes us to rationalize these choices that are not really aligned with our spiritual values or goals. So we can justify negative behavior by believing that we're spiritually advanced while engaging in harmful or unethical actions that are really unacceptable in the name of spirituality. This can be ignoring growth opportunities because we overlook personal flaws or areas that could be improved by focusing on only the positive aspects of our spiritual journey. And that really leads to stagnation. If we're ignoring the parts that are pushing us into growth, which is always going to be the negative part, right? Like no one's going to hand you a box full of joy and say, okay, let's grow now. Someone's going to hand you a box full of death puppies and they're going to say, now what do? You have to grow, you have to pivot, you have to change. And so someone who's stuck in this trap of spiritual self-deception, they might open a box of death puppies and pretend that it's a real cute cuddly kitten and just hold it while it continues to eat them alive because they're refusing to change and they're refusing to look at real flaws and errors. They often seek validation because that's their need to pursue those spiritual experiences. If they're stagnant inside because they're stuck to needing that foundation and that safety rather than continuing to expand and explore, they're going to feel that stagnation but refuse to look at it, right? So they might pursue spiritual experiences or religious experiences in order to feel more validated in that. So this is that external approval for acknowledgement. This is rather than genuine knowing and deeper truths, maybe we're avoiding reality, avoiding responsibilities, avoiding life's challenges, not facing them with awareness and accepting them and saying, I'm going to go to church 3 times a week instead. That was a harsh one. I know, that was a harsh one because not everybody who goes to church 3 days a week is doing this. Church is great. Go, take your spiritual action, pray, worship, do your thing, boo. I love that. As long as you're also continuing to grow, act ethically, face hard things, and not bury it because it makes you feel unsafe to have to change and realize that something you used to believe isn't kind or ethical to everyone else. So, we need to stop avoiding reality. Self-deception's a real big one with people number 1. You're welcome. People number 2. These are our people who don't know what they believe. Yes, darling, you have a spiritual trap too, and it's called materialism. Materialism. This is where we are more ego-driven because we do not know what's happening in the spiritual. We also do not necessarily pursue things in the spiritual, so we tend to focus more on the material world. This can also translate over into spiritual materialism because not everybody who doesn't know what they believe just don't act on spirituality at all. Maybe they pursue lots of different things, but they haven't settled on something that they can really believe inside of themselves. And this becomes spiritual materialism. Spiritual materialism. I want to say I see this one a lot. I want to say that. But we don't want to judge, right? We don't want to assume that we know because maybe we don't. It's easy to see when someone's into materialism, when they're too much in the material realm and trying to gain material things while feeling a lack on the inside. But that could fall into self-deception. Whereas spiritual materialism is people who really want to explore many different kinds of spirituality without really understanding what they personally believe, what fits into their personal belief systems or even their personal lineage of belief systems. And they take on these trappings of many different spiritual things, and it becomes spiritual materialism. So, not to call anybody out, but these are probably, again, it's going to sound so harsh. If I'm calling you out here, just take it with a grain of salt and send me love anyways, because this is just what's Spirit's plopping into my brain. Spiritual materialism, these are probably the people who have, I don't want to say it. Spirit keeps trying to make me say it, and I don't want to say it because it sounds so judgmental. But either way, even if I don't say it, the thing that you guys need to know about spiritual materialism is that these are people who maybe do or offer spiritual services that are actually ego driven. They're not done from a selfless space of I want to serve, I want to love, this is my calling. They're doing it from a space of if I don't do this, I have no worth. If I don't do this, I'm not important. My gift is the only worth that I have. I need to push this out there. I need to be successful. I need to have achievements. I need people to validate me as a healer, as a spiritual leader in my community. And they have this selfish type of spiritual work. These are people number 2. So what I was going to say was, I might get in trouble for this later, but what I was going to say was the people who fall into spiritual materialism, who really have that hole and that need for validation and status rather than the genuine inner growth and enlightenment, who are just seeking and seeking and seeking. These are like your white girls with the dreads and the belly shirts, and they're practicing 6 different kinds of spiritual modalities, and none of them are rooted in where they're from. Ugh, okay, I said it, and I'm so sorry. And I'm sorry because I understand this too. Because this is how we all start, right? We all start with a seeking, a what do we believe? And what's accessible to us. And things like Reiki are super accessible to us right now, and it's supposed to be. Things like shamanism are super acceptable to us right now, and it's supposed to be, because these are things that are supposed to spread over the world in order for everybody to become open-minded, enlightened, for us to be able to understand our pure energy and what's inside of it. I practice Reiki. I trained for years in shamanism, years in druidry. I know these things. I'm good friends with a voodoo papa, and if I wanted to learn voodoo, I could probably learn that too. That's not the point. The point is that with spiritual materialism, this should show you if you are lacking something on the inside and you're trying to fill your validation and worth kind of void with different spiritualities and with trappings of different spiritualities. Do you have 6 altars and they're all a jumble of tons of different tools and none of them are really focused into who you authentically are and what you authentically believe? It can't be. It can't be if you don't know what you believe. It cannot be deeply connected to your soul on a soul level if you don't know what you believe. When learning other practices such as shamanism or Reiki, good, boo, learn them. But when you learn them, apply them to your spiritual practice in accordance to how you believe, your gifts, and how you personally work. Otherwise, they simply become a thing, a material that's taking up space and cluttering your life, filling some void that you don't even know what it means. God, why are you guys giving me this word today? I'm going to choke on my words. You guys, please don't come at me in the comments. Do not do it. Do not come at me in the comments, I swear. I'll delete it. Number 3. The third kind of person and the thing that they have to watch for, and remember, these are those people who know what they believe and constantly evolve. They need to watch out for self-absorption. And this is coming from a Leo, guys. Watch out for some self-absorption. Your own experiences can sometimes lead you, people number 3, to ignore your connections with others. Because when you are constantly in those realms, building, 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 and then tearing it all apart and building, 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 when you're in that mode, your energy's up in your crown a lot, right? You can ignore your connections, your physical connections, your people, your friend connections, your family connections. You could sometimes judge others because they're not on the same level, not as a hierarchy, but as a vibration. This could also cause complacency, this feeling of comfort where you are without feeling the need to pursue deeper commitments. Commitments. How many of you guys out there know that really, really great spiritual teacher, spiritual healer, and they are flaky as F, like just flake out? These sensitives, these intuitives, and they have such a big power. If they could ever just really become a little bit more stable, right? And this is what I'm talking about. You have your stable people here, your people here, and then your people up here who are really great, have an amazing gift, but Lord, if they ain't flaky and they think that they just have to isolate and be away and they don't connect. Guys, self-absorption is a spiritual flaw. Spiritual flaws. So, now that you know the 3 kinds of spiritual people, what they each need to look out for, and hopefully you've pegged yourself into one of those or all of them at different times in your life so that you know what you need to look out for. You can also understand the bigger picture and how they all come together with that love. We want to meet everything with love because the reality is all of us have been all 3 of these people. All of us have fallen into all 3 of these traps. All of us have experienced these things. We often even just have this separation between spirituality and religion, where if we have a flaw or a blockage or a wound here, we kind of go over into spirituality and continue to grow, or we think we're continuing to grow and to grow and to grow, but the reality is we're doing the same thing in spirituality that we were doing in religion, but we're calling it different words. Stop it. I mean, it's okay to call it different words, but I want you to have the awareness that you're doing that. I don't want you to do it unawares and never heal the wound you have around religion. Setting intentions, sending energy to someone. Is that the same as prayer? It's all your intention. It's all your intention. Boop, boop. So what we're doing is we're meeting everything with love. We're understanding how we've been all of these people, how when we first started seeking, maybe we were in this stuck, stale space. Maybe we were being the ones who were hurtful and offensive to other people. And then maybe we did start seeking, and we seeked so many different avenues in all these different places, and they were all different and scattered and not really authentically us, but it was helping us heal through. And then maybe we got to that space where we know what we believe and we're able to tear it down and come back and rebuild, but maybe we let our connections go sometimes, and sometimes we do kind of self-absorb and isolate and think that we can't interact with other people because we're too sensitive. But part of our dharmic fulfillment is fostering our connections, and it's the number one rule, the number one promise of the universe. That's the number one thing we have to do when the universe gives us all of these promises of love and world peace. World peace is really based around, from a dharmic perspective, world peace is based around our ability to foster connections, to forgive, and to love one another. So do what you will with that, spiritual people who think that it's really just everybody else who's being bad and evil. They may be the ones that have a hurtful, dogmatic type of belief. But what are we doing to forgive, to connect, and to shine light, to teach and be an example of world peace. So this season, I want to encourage everybody to just put the kids to bed. You know that feeling when it's bedtime? You've had a long day, you've been working all day. You got home, you picked up the kids, you had to make dinner, everyone's screaming and arguing and carrying on, and they stole my brain rot. And your mind is melting and smoke's coming out of your ears, but it's bedtime now. It's time to put the kids to bed. This is what I want you to do metaphorically for the world. Here, in this time, in this season, let's put the kids to bed. That means let's just really return to blessings. Let's return to intentionality. Let's return to feelings for a second. I want us to be able to love unconditionally. And this is helping where we can. And where we can't, just send love. Love unconditionally. I want you to write these 3 things down. I got 3 more things. 3 things that we can do. There are 3 things you got to watch out for. So here's 3 things you can do. Write them down. Number 1, love unconditionally. And that means, in parentheses, help where I can, then just love, and parentheses. I don't feel like I need to explain that further, honestly. Help where you can. Where you can't help, just love. Just send love. It's not that hard. Just do it. Number 2, care for and comfort others. Again, there's so many things coming in to say, and like I'm the one shutting that down because I'm like, I don't want to say that. We've been harsh enough in this video. But care for and comfort others. And this might be easier for some of you and more difficult for others. It might be more difficult for people who are in a self-absorbed space because it's hard to care for so many other people when you're sensitive. This might be hard for people who are in their self-deception phase or in their spiritual materialism phase, because they don't want to have to take that on for other people. And that's the thing, is you don't have to take on someone's burden to comfort them. This almost falls into the first one, except I feel like it needed to be expanded on. Help where you can, then just love. And when you're just sending love to someone, you're comforting them. You're telling them it's okay. However the words come out. Like if you're just there, then they can at least feel what they're feeling with someone else present, even if it's just for a minute. There could be times when a word is needed and I'm thinking of you. I care about you. You know, these words don't have to be super big and impactful and powerful, just for someone to know that they're not alone. And sometimes caring for someone's physical needs is the first step towards helping them spiritually and emotionally. If someone's spiraling out emotionally, one of the best things you can do is physical touch, give them food, give them water, help them rest. They need sleep, they need hydration, they need love, okay? Care for the physical body, that's caring for somebody. Comforting them, give them a little pat on the back. I'll comfort you guys right now. Hope you feel it. The third thing that you can do in this season of love and blessings and intentionality is to let yourself rest in peace, joy, and a feeling of accomplishment. How many of you go to bed at night and feel peaceful or joyful or feel that you've accomplished something during your day? And notice that while we have 3 things to look out for and they're applied to certain personalities, the 3 things that I want you to do are not specifically assigned to a personality. They could be. They could easily be. But I didn't want them to be, because I want everybody of all three groups to do all three things, especially since all of us have been in each of these three groups at some point, or will be in each of these three groups at some point. When you go to bed at night, you have to allow yourself to be peaceful. Because I swear, I promise, hand to God, that peace is there. Because that's your God spark and who you inherently are. You are peace. You are joy. That's who you are. All you have to do is allow yourself to be it. Because your thoughts, your worries, your fears, those are the things saying, I'm not peaceful, I'm not joyful. But these are external, or coming from the mind into the emotions. Those things don't naturally exist. You aren't naturally existent in nature as a worrywart. You might think you are, because some of you guys were born with this from past lives. But in your God self core, your peace and your joy. So you have to let yourself just rest in that. At the end of the night, put the kids to bed, the metaphorical kids. Put your mind to bed, put your worries to bed, put your judgments to bed. Sit with all of your blessings, everything that you feel you're blessed with. Sit with your intentions, what you want in the world. Sit with that feeling of just being able to feel. Oh. And then allow the peace to come, allow the joy to come, and let yourself just feel accomplished. Because by doing these things a little bit each day, letting yourself love unconditionally and care for and comfort others, you're always going to have something to feel accomplished by at the end of the day. At the end of every day, you can always say, I helped someone today. I was kind to someone today. I can be at peace right now. I can feel accomplished. I accomplished something today because I helped somebody, because I was kind, because I was caring, because I loved, and I planted a seed of world peace today. So everybody, when we're on our holy path, not a spiritual or religious, but a holy path, I hope in this season you can put those kids to bed, think of all your blessings, and just be at peace at the end of the day.